in Congress and rejoin the House leadership team. But again, this breaking news coming just moments ago that we wanted to bring to your attention here on Live Now from Fox, as her nomination has now been pulled, as that majority, of course, is so very slim on the House Republican side. The Republicans do not want to chance it right now, and instead, Stefanik will now continue on her duties as a representative from New York and rejoin the House Majority Leadership team. Okay, so we'll again be following this major breaking news here for you on Live Now from Fox. And again, more top stories, headlines, all in the mix when we come back in just moments on Live Now.
Of how our government operates. In February, I introduced the Protecting Federal Agencies and Employee from Political Interference Act of 2025, which would require an agency of Congress before any federal agency located in the National Capital Region or any federal employee position with a duty station in the NCR may be located outside of the ACR. The Trump administration directed federal agencies to submit proposed relocations of agency bureaus and offices from the National Capital Region to other parts of the country. But moving federal agencies will only delay operations, lead to increased employee attrition, and disrupt vital services provided to Americans across the country. We can have a discussion on ways to make government more efficient, but politicians whose stated goal is to demonize and traumatize federal employees with these sweeping changes deserve skepticism their policies draw. Federal employees play a crucial role in keeping Congress informed of activities and ensuring the government runs effectively. For this reason, federal agencies should not be relocated sua sponte or without careful consideration. I strongly support Congressman Subramanian's Cost of Relocation Act. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. And I now turn it over to my long-term colleague, ally, and friend, Congressman Don Byer.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Don. I promise I'll try to be short-winded. All right. Well, look, thank you, Suhas, for organizing us, and thanks everybody for being here. My name is Jamie Raskin. I represent Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District, which is in Montgomery County, Maryland. I've got 55,000 federal workers and tens of thousands of federal retirees and other people who work in not-for-profits and businesses that are very closely aligned with the work of the federal government. When this nightmare started back in January, the first message they got was the so-called fork in the road memo, which was taken verbatim from the memo that Elon Musk had sent to the workers at Twitter. And it basically said you can take your chances staying here, knowing that they're trying to dismantle the federal workforce, or you can take a 9-month paid vacation. They basically offered 2 million federal workers a 9-month paid vacation and then their departure, their exit from the federal workforce, which shows you what kind of spectacular disrespect they have for the federal government and for the people who've come to serve it. Okay, so the next thing that happens is the vast majority of them say no. They're going to stay. They want to do their jobs. They want to continue to serve the American people in the federal government. So then they began massive layoffs. Almost all of them completely illegal. For example, they got rid of tens of thousands of federal workers who were in a probationary status. They were on probation not because they'd done anything wrong. They were on probation because they'd done everything right. Either they'd just been hired, or in the case of a lot of my constituents, they'd been promoted because they had superior evaluations in their work. And they fired all those people, but the courts have restored most of them, not all of them, restored most of them to their jobs. Well, now, as part of this continuing attack on the federal government and attack on the federal workforce, they're starting to try to relocate federal offices and installations outside of the national capital area, to move them to other parts of the country. So imagine you've just been through all of these attacks on your job, all of these efforts to get you out of your job, and now they say, we want you to move 2,000 miles away, you and your family, and you don't know if you're going to have any job security once you get there. And so you see how all of this is targeted at depleting the federal workforce and nullifying the government of the United States. And that is the philosophy that is driving this entire thing. So the very least we can do is pass this legislation, which says before any federal agency or entity gets relocated to another part of the country, live up to your promise. Make it pass a cost-benefit analysis. Show us it's really going to save money and produce more efficiency, because I think it's going to be a lot more like what's going on with Social Security today. Nobody ever really thought about the efficiency of Social Security before. It's much less than 1% of the overall Social Security budget that goes to administration. And every once in a while, people have problems. Our staffs are able to go to bat for people and get their Social Security benefits. The system has worked up until Donald Trump and Elon Musk got involved. Now it's impossible to get through on the phones. There's mass confusion about Social Security benefits. You can't get through on the phones. They say go to the offices, but they're closing the offices around the country. If Vladimir Putin had tried to dismantle and destroy Social Security, he could not be doing a better job than Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing right now. So they say it's about waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, the first thing they did was they sacked 18 inspectors general whose job it is to ferret out waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government. They saved us $91 billion last year. The real corruption fighters. Elon Musk hasn't saved us $91. He's taken $38 billion in government contracts, and now he gets to oversee his own contracts. These people are not opponents of corruption. They are agents and instruments of corruption, and they're attacking our government. So we've got to pass this bill. Otherwise, they're going to be relocating everything. The White House is going to end up in Mar-a-Lago, and CIA will be located in the Kremlin before we're done with these people. And I'm delighted to bring up now my beloved colleague, Congressman Don Byer from Virginia.
I love coming after Jamie Raskin. So I'm Don Byer from beautiful Virginia, the birthplace of democracy, the mother of presidents. And I am horrified by what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing here. You know, I was in business for a long, long time, been leadership for a long time. And the very first thing that a leader learns how to do is to inspire the people that he or she is supposed to lead. To build a culture where people feel that they're respected, that they get to work hard, that they're working on meaningful things. And what Donald Trump is doing and Elon Musk is doing is tearing cultures apart. They're making things so that they don't work at all. Social Security and much, much more. What they're doing is bad management and stupid leadership. The second simple point I'd make is, many of my colleagues have made already, it didn't save any money when they did it the first time. There's a GAO study, there's a third-party study. Just the cost of moving and the loss of all those people that knew their jobs really well just didn't work. So it's not going to work this time either. But the most important part for me is this is deeply personal. Not just because we have so many federal employees in all the districts we represent, but because most of these districts voted 80% for Kamala Harris, 80% for Hillary Clinton, 80% for Joe Biden. Donald Trump hates us. And his whole motion, unlike any other president in history, is to divide us, to pit half of America against the other half of America. He says Northern Virginia, suburban Maryland, Washington, D.C., these are people who didn't vote for me, so I'm going to destroy them as best I can, no matter what the impact is on the rest of Americans around the country. It's not going to work. We need presidents, we need leaders who bring us together, who end up using the best and brightest of us to serve all the rest of us. I can't tell you how many times we have heard on the House floor our Republican colleagues call federal workers people who've given up their lives in public service, people who make a fraction of what they could make in the private sector. They've called them nameless, faceless bureaucrats. Well, the nameless, faceless right now are the kids on DOGE who are destroying our country. The federal bureaucrats are people who've been through lots of vetting, lots of training, who live in our neighborhoods, and who go to work every day for us to make our country strong. And this is a tragedy, and it's a wonderful bill that Senator Van Hollen and Congressman Subramanian have put together. Make them prove that this actually saves any money, because it will not work. Let me now introduce our favorite new freshman, the wonderful former member of the Maryland General Assembly from Annapolis, Sarah Helfer.
Thank you so much, Congressman Beyer. And I want to thank first my Senator Chris Van Hollen, and my friend and colleague, one of the best and brightest in the freshman class, Congressman Subramanian, for championing this issue. I'll be very brief, because when I read this bill, it was very clear to me what the goal was. Like any good middle school algebra teacher, we're simply asking the federal government, the White House, to show us their math, show us their work, to make sure if they're claiming waste, fraud, and abuse, and they're claiming to want greater efficiency and effectiveness, show us how this works out for the American people, for the taxpayers, and ensure that we can continue to deliver the services that the American people pay for and expect every single day. It's very simple. It's very clear. I, too, call on our Republican colleagues, who I am sure are also here because they believe in government efficiency, but they also believe that their constituents deserve the same services that ours do. And we cannot deliver on those services with this type of chaos, arbitrary political retribution that we are seeing from this White House. Our constituents deserve better. The American people deserve better. And that is why I'm so proud to be a co-sponsor of this bill. And with that, I'll bring up another star of the freshman class, Congressman Vindman.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm proud to co-sponsor this bill being led by my colleague and friend, Congressman Subramanian. I have 55,000 federal civil servants that work in my district, tens of thousands of active duty military, and many contractors. And look, the policies that we've seen towards civil servants and the American people have been cruel, callous, inefficient, ineffective, and likely deadly. So a few examples. The callous part, obviously the intent here is to humiliate hardworking civil servants, make their lives unbearable so they quit their jobs. We've heard my colleagues talk about that. That's the intent here. But it's also callous to the American people. I met with scores of senior citizens last week in district, and they were extremely concerned about Social Security, the offices that are being closed, the services that are being reduced, That's callous to the American people. Another example, in my district, we have the largest veterans health clinic in the country that opened up in Fredericksburg just a few weeks ago, and I was proud to cut the ribbon with my colleagues on the Senate, Mark Warner and Tim Kaine. That facility is only 1/3 staffed. $350 million facility, 1/3 staffed. My constituent Ray, that was looking to have services.
Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill speaking. What we want to do, everyone, is go out to some breaking news, though, out in Las Vegas. There has been an active investigation into the firebombing of a Tesla service center there in Vegas last month. Well, now they do have a suspect arrested. A 36-year-old was booked on more than a dozen felony charges. Let's bring it to you from the beginning right here on Live Now from Fox.
With me today is Special Agent in charge of the FBI, Spencer Evans, and Assistant Sheriff Dory Corn with the LVMPD Homeland Security and Investigative Services. They'll be two of the individuals speaking. The rest of the individuals up here are also the command team that helped lead through this investigation over the course of the last week. And I'm here to provide you a significant update on the Tesla attack that took place early last week. This event involved an attack on the Tesla Collision and Sales Center on Tuesday, March 18th at approximately 02:45. The suspect used a firearm and Molotov cocktails to damage the center and destroy multiple vehicles that were parked on site. You'll see to my left some of that video that was taken from that night. On the screen next to me is also what I want to highlight to each one of you is the very little information that my investigators and FBI agents had to work with from the initial aspect of this investigation. There's a grainy photograph of the suspect's vehicle, a nearly indescribable photo of the suspect himself, and a couple of photographs of headlights and taillights of the vehicle. That's what my investigators had to go on a week ago. Part of this story that you're going to hear is how we arrived at our suspect being taken into custody with such little information. It's incredible work by everybody involved. And despite that minimal information at the onset, and thanks to the hard work and collaborative effort by the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, the LVMPD Counterterrorism Section, and all of our Fusion Center partners, we were able to identify and arrest the suspect involved in this attack. There's a couple social media photos that that have been circulated out there already. The suspect's name is Paul Kim, K-I-M. He's an Asian male adult, and he is 36 years of age. I'm going to transition now to Assistant Sheriff Dory Corn to explain to you exactly what happened over the course of this last week. Sheriff Corn.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning. I'm Assistant Sheriff Dory Corn at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I oversee our Homeland Security and Investigative Services Group, which includes our counterterrorism section. I have the opportunity here to provide the details of the investigation, but there's no doubt this was a collaborative effort involving multiple agencies, numerous, actually hundreds of personnel that have been involved. Some of the key people, to include folks that are standing back here, like Lieutenant Rick Myers, who oversees our counterterrorism section, were instrumental. And because of all of their hard work, we were able to quickly identify and apprehend the Tesla firebombing suspect in record-breaking time. Based on the updated evidence that we now have a better understanding, a more comprehensive understanding of what actually happened. And I'm going to provide some details as we walk through a little bit of a timeline on what occurred and then what we know about the suspect now. So we'll begin with just talking about how the suspect arrived. He arrived east of the location in a vehicle, showed up in a black sedan just parked east of the Tesla Collision Center. You can see on this video clip here, we highlighted the area because it's at the top of your screen, and you'll be able to see the arrival of the vehicle. You'll be able to see that the vehicle comes in, originally driving westbound where you can see the headlights, and then turns around where you can see the taillights, and he reverses back into where he parks. The suspect then proceeds on foot and approaches the corner of the building. As you've seen before and as you've probably heard, and certainly as we're showing today, he attempted to mask his identity by wearing black attire, concealing his face, and wearing gloves. The suspect then began shooting